Yo, good morning, guys. I am back from vacation, and the good news is we are back on Coffee Talk. Back on Coffee Talk. We're back at Coffee Talk. You'll notice that we don't have Mr. Pilgrim. Hopefully, he shows up in a bit. He's out and about with the fam right now. Little thunder in the background, as usual. If I disappear, then we had some lightning situation or power situation. I'll try to get back as soon as possible. How's everybody doing on this fine Sunday? We got O'Brute, Cliffy, Wayne. Good morning. Just noticed that Stickler resubbed about a week ago, so thank you, Stickler, in advance. How's everybody doing, man? He is seeking lavender. That's right. he's probably out doing enforcement in the lavender farms, in case people get a little crazy in the lavender farms. Coffee's good. Had a wedding last night. Probably drank a little too much wine. Now my camera is drunk too. What is going on with the camera? Hey, geez. All right. Silly thing. Good morning, Eighth Hussers. Coronal Potter, good morning. Thank you. Sunday's back to normal. That's right. Vacation's over, fellas. It's all over. We have to go back to work. You know, because sitting around talking about video games is hard work. So what happened while I was gone, fellas? I noticed the game did not destroy itself. At least it seems to still be here. 3 weeks. I was sort of going over some of the stuff over the 3 weeks. I guess the controversy with Ayuksen is that old news? Are we over that now? All the videos and the counter videos and the explanation videos and the set the record straight videos and that's not what I said videos and all that. Is that all done? Steel Aces. I signed up. I guess it's not currently running a test, but I did went to the website, put in the little form, gave them my email, my name, all that stuff. So hopefully I will be able to do some of that when they do the next test. Anybody know when that's going to be? I didn't dig too hard, so I don't know. I did read something on their Discord that they said soon. I don't know if they put a date on it or not. Oh, Brute, thanks, man. Appreciate that. 39 months, right on. The controversy has disappeared. In the end, nobody gave a damn. All right. I was going to talk about it, but since Pilgrim's not here, we'll just do free format on today's Coffee Talk. Is it just me, or does it look like a kind of a straight copy, at least as far as the UI is concerned? I thought I was looking at World of Tanks a couple times. Like, am I missing something there? I realize UI in a game is... Everybody has some, and there's probably best practices on where to put stuff, especially in terms of like an FPS type of thing. You know, you put a map in the corner, and you put some other data in another corner, and the teams are on the top and the right and the left and all that. But I got to tell you what, man. It looks a lot like World of Tanks. Yeah, they do all look alike, don't they? They do all look alike. And I guess when you're talking about the tanks themselves, and once you 3D model in a cartoonish type of way a tank, they all kind of end up looking the same, don't they? So it uses some of the war. So what does that mean? Does it have hit points? I think it has hit points, right? I only watched a couple videos and I didn't pay too close of attention. Amount of damage done depends on what you actually hit. Oh, so you can't take all their hit points away from a hatch? Jeez. That's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. Only +1 matchmaker, World War II fight each other instead of all the modern tanks, and no arty. I could do with the no arty. Do you light on fire? I would like to not light on fire. I came back hoping that maybe my feeling that I get lit on fire constantly lately was just a feeling from 2 months ago after 3 weeks off. It was not. In the last week since I've been back, or 4 days, I have constantly been lit on fire again. Sniping the cupola has diminishing returns. Oh, okay. That's kind of a smart way to do it, man. That must be interesting math on how that's going to work. Tank games today don't look much different than arcade game from the 80s. I would say the graphics are way better. The driving physics is very different in that game? Okay. I always thought the driving physics, World of Tanks, kind of got down pretty well. I always felt like, other than the wheeled tanks, which we'll talk about in a little bit, because I just finished the VCS 6x6. Other than the wheeled tanks and maybe some of the faster track tanks, some of the sillier speed tanks, I always felt like they did a pretty good job of making it sort of, not that I know what a tank feels like, but oddly it kind of conveys a bit of weight, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, when you're playing the game. Don't you guys think that? I always thought World of Tanks did a decent job with that part of it. I like how it shows where you hit and the damage done. Goose has been playing it and putting it up on YouTube. Interesting. I wonder how Wargaming's digging that. Not that a content creator or a CC has to only play their game, but if it goes on, if it starts to gain traction, I think you're going to see that friction show up. Let's put it that way. Right now, it's all in development. We're the big dog on the street, and there's no real reason for them to get too worried, other than if they are going to go after them for any IP stuff. And that's kind of why I mentioned how similar it looks. And I don't know, I haven't heard too much of that. Although there is actually a company suing another one right now, right? For Horizon Zero Dawn, whoever made that is suing Square Enix, right? Is suing somebody else for a game that has very, very similar artwork and gameplay, I believe. Morning, Cloud. I appreciate that, man. Welcome. Right on. I do. I very much appreciate that. That's kind of what I try to do. We try to keep it. I'm going to say it, even though it always drives me crazy. I try to keep it real. Whatever the hell that means. I'm concerned it's not different enough. Yeah, Cliffy. That's a good point. It's a good point, right? Is your pitch to the gamers, to the World of Tanks gamers specifically? Well, let's even back that up. It's a great point, because are they aiming the game at WoT players, or are they aiming the game at gamers? Like, are they, you know what I mean? Because World of Tanks players, that's probably the big core of tank game players. And maybe to some extent the War Thunder aficionados. Of course, there's also Blitz and some other things. So they are split amongst some of the relatively big titles out there. But if you're starting a new game, aiming it at an old game's audience and not necessarily at gamers as a whole, I realize you can do both at once. It's not a case of you can't do both things. But that is an interesting position, isn't it? Yeah. This one's been going so long. And I guess you have to, right? I suppose if you were going to try to compete with Wargaming and World of Tanks, then you kind of have to do that, because that's where the main fans are, you would assume. Interesting. Yeah, so would they gain traction then with just saying, all right, no Artie? I know, and there's a lot of people go, oh, great, no Artie, yeah, that's where I'm going. But the majority of people in this game, Artie is an annoyance, or they like it. Plenty of people like it, or it's just kind of a small annoyance. The hardcore people who just despise it, and granted, I don't like it, but I don't necessarily despise it, unless it lights me on fire. So that's the pitch, right? Oh, no Artie. And then someone mentioned World War II when he's fighting World War II. I've always found that argument to be, how do I want to put this? I don't want to be insulting, so I'm not going to do that. And I don't mean it that way. I just find there's no there on that argument. These are just numbers. It doesn't matter whether the tank is a future tank or a tank from the Civil War. I realize it doesn't exist, but you know what I mean. It's just the numbers on how you do it, and when you get higher in the tiers, in general, we get into the Cold War tanks, and it's just numbers. It's just tweaking numbers. Albeit Wargaming's not very good at it lately on balancing tanks. So the idea that I'm irritated that a Cold War tank might take on a World War II tank is it's just balancing numbers in the game. That's all it is. Now we can have discussions and arguments about how well they do that. But I guess what I'm saying is to simply say, well, it's unfair that a Cold War tank sees a World War II tank in the game. Like, no, it really is. If they're balanced correctly, then it doesn't matter what time frame it came from. Yeah, they did try that World War II thing. I sort of enjoyed it. The problem is nobody wanted to play stock tanks. And again, that's kind of the same. That's really connected to what I just said. Like, oh, I don't want to play the stock tank. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter because in the mode, it's the relative balance of the tanks that are in the mode. Don't forget Panzer Kampf is also out to play, but not much is out there to promote it. Okay, is that one where, is that one where you can sit in the tank? Doesn't it have multiple crew members or something like that? Only issue changing is investment. I haven't Watt. Right, Gunner? Absolutely. Yeah, so like Cliffy said, there's a lot of inertia, and then there's the personal inertia. There's the gamer group, World of Tanks, gamer fans as a whole, and then there's your own personal inertia. Like me, I've got 800 tanks. I've spent a lot of time playing the game, built this channel, all this stuff, and then you're just going to head over to the new one. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch, and it's certainly, I think, has a tough hill to climb. If they make a better product, then they can compete, I guess, at the end of the day. Although, sometimes people make a better product and they can't compete because it's just, like you guys said, just too much inertia. Why not aim at the lost 25,000 people? Yeah, Gator, there you go. Maybe. But now you have to make some assumptions, and I think maybe some of the assumptions aren't quite right on why exactly they lost the 25,000. We're going to all sit here and go, it's this, that, and the other. And like, as usual, I don't think it's any one thing. You'll have people say, Artie drove away a bunch of players. Well, it might have, but I don't know how many just Artie drove away. Plus minus 3 matchmaker drove away players. Well, okay, true, more than likely, but how many? And was it just that? Are those the big things? Artie, plus or minus, and the hit point system, whatever this new game is sort of trying to work on. Is that the base core of why World of Tanks lost players? Or was it more players just played it and they were done with it? It's some of all of that, I think. Going to be hard to balance. AW says not enough. Okay. Gunner's Human says a +2 matchmaker. Everyone wants the OP. Yes. Well, I think that's... Yeah, man. Wayne, that is so true. And it's just... We just have to understand that. It's the problem generally I have with the tanks that they're releasing and the order. People love them. Like, nobody wants to buy a crappy tank. I get it. Right? Nobody wants to buy the Rampanzer. Even though it just recently got buffed and it's okay-ish. No one's going to buy that over something else. So, for example, few people are going to buy, say, I don't know, what's the M4Y thing over the Skoda T56. They want the good tanks, and so if you're selling stuff, you want to sell stuff people want. So they sell a bunch of overpowered stuff. Let's see. Although the balance is flawed, the real is World War II upgrade did in fact see action again. I think that's true. Absolutely. Yep. Well, it moved into cash grab mode long ago. Yeah. we I've talked about this a lot on the channel, and I don't. How do I put this? I am not against the company making money. I'm also not against them putting out good tanks, but it has ramped up. It even past where I'm okay with it, I guess. I mean, I understand how the thing works, real life, but they are definitely ramping up or have ramped up. It's accelerated to the point where we just can't ignore it anymore. I don't think it was as big a factor, say 4 years ago, as people think it was. But for those who are here now, they're like, yeah, but that's where it all started. So that's how we got here. All right, I got that. Understood. That's true in the big scheme. But it hasn't been until the last about year and a half, 2 years, to where even I've gone, yeah, that's just it's blatant, and it's definitely damaged the game. In the past, I could make an argument that, all right, yeah, some people have left because of it and whatever, but in the whole, I still thought the game was in really good shape. Seemed like the devs were trying to move in the right direction sometimes, but there was always that background, that noise level kept increasing. Well, now you can't ignore the noise level. Now it's just all you can hear is noise. And we'll look at it. I don't know how many double barrel tanks, autoloader, loader, reloader, salvo, blah, blah, blah. Seems like every single one of these things. And there are so many of them that they're pushing through super test. It's crazy. Let's see. Nut Specials had a great week and a chance to play Watt 12 to 16 hours a day. Oh, wow. Okay, well, how's that going? Are you sane still? Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. It is in the right amounts. I would agree. Greed is why people strive, in my opinion, and really in reality, as far as I'm concerned. It's why they started the game. Somebody wanted to make money. Everyone loves the story of the gamer who created the game for the good of the gaming community and put his heart and soul in the game, and he doesn't want to make money, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, that's fine, but that's only going to create so many games. This was a great game. Somebody over there in Eastern Europe wanted to make some cash. Eastern Europeans love tanks, especially Russians and Belarusians, and they made a great tank game. And along the way, they monetized it, and they started making a lot of money. And here we are now 15 odd years later. It's an older game, bit creaky around the edges, and through various other things going on in the world, the Ukraine war, the split with Lesta, the Chinese server, yada yada. Now it's just like, bring on in the cash, and they'll just start. We're just chucking out double barrels. we're expecting the triple barrels soon, hopefully. Premiums were never supposed to be better. Okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Gunner. So that is a true statement from about 10 years ago. And when you say never supposed to, I understand what you're saying. I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that was certainly a thing they said 10, 15 years ago, but that's gone by the wayside. Which is your point, I believe. But I don't think they held on to that very long as a core principle for the game. It's certainly abandoned now. In my opinion, monetization is fine, but Wargaming used some dubious approach. Yes, I agree. They have some broken mechanics that they put in the game, and tanks. And it's, for me, sadly, the biggest problem with that is a refusal to balance them. It's unfortunate. And I know they got punched in the face by the community several times when they tried to balance stuff in the past. But they've done it sometimes. We've got some fairly famous examples. The T-59 early on, Type 59, was overpowered for a very long time. It got nerfed. In fact, it's been changed 2 or 3 times. But doing one-offs on really bad overbalanced or overpowered tanks and not kind of looking at the whole, as they call, ecosystem. At that point, that's just lip service. Every once in a while, they'll do one and then pretend they balance stuff. They are exactly like NIMBYs, Grendel, 100%. They want all these things. They want balance. They want all this stuff, but not my tank. Don't touch my tank. 100%. Yep, 279 early in the Chief. Another good example. Took a long time to do it. They sort of massaged them a bit. They're still at the top. Didn't do anything really. It is fascinating that those tanks, especially the Chieftain, fell out of favor for the competitive side. I don't really think they're that much worse than they were. I mean, they've been nerfed. And one of the reasons they're still high in the stats is good players play them as in general, so that does help. But I don't know if they're actually worse. I think just some other tanks came around. Maybe the way people played, the way the strategies evolved a little bit. Maybe since the Chieftain wasn't so powerful, it kind of forced some strategy evolvement, and then maybe they found some tanks that were a little bit better, and that's just kind of the natural flow of those things. They always seem to nerf the things that are not a major problem with a strong tank. Well, the thing is, Grendel, what they do, from what I've seen anyway, or what we've seen, is they only really nerf tech tree stuff. They're talking about a rebalance, and then it's all tech tree tanks, nerf or buff. And tech tree tanks are so basically irrelevant, not relevant, that it's just an exercise, really, at the end of the day, of moving the chairs around the deck of the Titanic kind of idea. Will the money tanks provide in-game? We special versions, not special ammo. Oh, is this for the other game? So no premiums. Money tanks will be special versions of Tech Tree, no special ammo. What does that mean, special versions of the Tech Tree? Different stats, or like a cosmetic difference? That's right. Don't touch my money tank. Anyone who's played... I'll just tell you one thing I noticed, Brute. I just finished... So getting on to channel news real quick. I just finished the VCS 6x6 100 Battle Challenge. I just finished the Airac 105, and I finished the KPZ 168, all of which I did terribly in. I noticed the wheel tank. I was having matches where there wasn't another wheeled tank on the other side. They've got the whole, a wheeled tank has to be matched with a wheeled tank. And I realized just based on server population and what tanks are in the queue, they kind of have to do that. But I wasn't waiting very long, which is what I thought was really interesting. It didn't make me, I didn't wait really. I just popped in, and I noticed yesterday and the day before, multiple battles with no EBR or VCS on the other side. But that's the problem with the Tier 9 one. That not many people really play the EBR. The VCS has a decent amount, but basically those are the only tanks that can match against a wheeled tank. Rumor has it NA has a new matchmaker test. Yeah, I wonder if that's it then. They loosened up the whole wheeled tank thing. Maybe they've got rid of it. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be as big of a problem. The whole EBR scourge of about 2 or 3 years ago seems to have abated quite a bit. Cosmetic unusual tanks equals collector's versions. Yeah, but how long can you monetize a game like that with just fancy tanks? You know what I mean? I don't know. We're about to find out. I always find that because I was listening to some of the developer stuff. It was a video. One of the guys did a video and was talking to one of the developers while they were playing. It's kind of easy when you're developing the game to give lip service to we're here for the community. We're not going to do this crazy monetization. We're only going to monetize with cosmetics. But at some point, reality slaps you in the face and your game may need some different monetization. Lots of all tier 9 games. I haven't necessarily noticed that. The VCS is different than the EBR, and one of the weird ones is that it has regular scout view range, but it's not quite as maneuverable as the EBR is. Similar. It's also giant, so it's easier to hit than the EBR is. Just a great big tank. Concerned they'll have the WT route and make grind so long. Yeah. Seems matchmaker's more geared +1. Yeah, I've seen a bit of both. I haven't paid close attention to that, Wayne, so I don't know if that's necessarily true, whether it's more or less. I haven't necessarily noticed it, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. The fire thing I noticed, though. Cosmetics, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Valorant. But, I mean, those are good points. I haven't played those. They're FPS kind of games as well. Fortnite has the building thing going on. Call of Duty is just a legendary title. Valorant's sort of a new, flashier version of stuff. And everything's cosmetic. I mean, I guess that's true. It works, right? They're apparently making money with those games by selling cosmetic stuff. So, I guess there is a business model for that. May have changed matchmaker in the last patch. I've seen less than 15 more 3RD games. Yeah, I have noticed 14 and 13 per side games, even in prime time. Or relative prime time as well. I have noticed that. They may have done that just to speed things up because, now there's only 3,959 people on US Central, and that's really not very many. I'm one of them, and I'm just sitting there idling, so. They do have, yes, very much larger player base. That's true. So good point. If you have a much more popular game and a much larger player base, then the percentage, and you're only going to sell to that player base, a small percentage of that player base buys stuff. It's the law of large numbers. If you've got a huge base, then that percentage, relatively small within the percentage, that's still good money. I did not explain that well, but you know what I'm saying. Whereas if you took the 3,968 people currently playing World of Tanks on NA, and that's a small percentage of them wanted some would monetize on cosmetics. Well, that's not very much money. But you start talking millions of players, now you're making some decent cash on that. I don't know what the logistics and economics are on scale for a video game, an online video game. Certainly there's the cost of the servers, but the difference between a video game that has 100,000 players playing and one that has a couple million playing at one time, how much more is that really? I don't know. It feels like, I'm going to say something dumb, and it's not exactly what I mean. It feels like you can easily scale, provided you can find the assets. In terms of money, it shouldn't be that much, but maybe it is. Maybe there's a significant cost. Is it linear, or is it some kind of weird exponential thing when you start talking about all the servers and capability you need? I don't know. I'm not smart enough on it to know that. Played ESO for quite a while, only bought one thing, personal merchant. Everything they sell is just cosmetics. What's ESO? I don't know that one. As soon as you spell it out, I'll know what it is. But right off the top of my nugget, I can't think of what that one is. That makes sense, Cliffy. So so you have some control over it on how you've designed the game. That would make sense. Frontline seems to be the ultimate preferred matchmaker. Yeah. Frontline seems to be all the same tanks, though, really. Warframe is a cosmetics only, free to play with a smaller base than a lot. Who makes Warframe? That's not Wargaming, is it? Looking forward to Steel Aces once I start playing. I'm sure there'll be issues. Now, one thing about Steel Aces is you'll kind of reset that grind bug. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's start off. It's all brand new. Everyone's new to this thing. Now I'm grinding stuff again. So you got that look forward to the next tank thing going on with it. You know, in a game that it's similar to what you've done. You like it, and potentially, and you want to get to that next level. You know, they'll definitely tap into that for a while. Should be logarithmic. For some reason, you can negotiate a better server rate when buying more server capacity. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, at scale, it seems like at some point the difference between having 100,000 people playing and 1 million is just a matter of more. But I don't know enough about it. I'm probably talking out my arse at that point. Warframe is made by Digital Extremes. Okay. Is that a POV shooter kind of idea? Like a guy running around? There's so many of those, it's hard to keep track. I don't play very many of them. I used to play years ago a couple of them. I did some Call of Duty and some Battlefield for a while. Those are kind of the two that I did. Well, that's the thing, Cliffy. We have forgotten in all of this discussion about money and World of Tanks and Wargaming that there is a moon base to be supported. PvE only, really? Okay, that's different. So team stuff. PvE. So how are the is it other people, bot people, or is it monsters or something like that? I don't know anything about Warframe, to be honest with you. Clearly. Warframe, let's look it up here. Together we fight. Choose your Warframe. Alright, they look kind of like space age people. Oh, there's magic or something going on here. Ah, okay, so it's like a bit, is it fantasy and sci-fi maybe? A little bit of both. Like a interesting mix. Got people jumping around, flying through the air. Okay. That's crazy. All right, well, there you go. Sort of a mix mash of science fiction and fantasy stuff going on. Not bad, not bad. Okay, fellas, let's do a little World of Tanks crap. Like I said, I finished the VCS 6x6. I barely got that 50%. There should be a video coming out on that. There'll be a video coming out for the Arak 105. I did not do one for the KPZ 168 because I hated it that much. But that one and the Arak, I ended up below 50%, which was very frustrating. Both of them were in the 53, 54% as I was getting to the last 10 battles. Both of them I had an absolutely miserable last 10 battles. I went 2 wins, 8 losses in the Arak, and something like that in the KPZ 168. The KPZ 168 is just, it angers me so because it could be a pretty cool tank if it just had a few more things. And those few more things are, it needs a little bit more mobility and more accuracy on the gun, so you can play it more like a Leopard PTA or Leopard. Unfortunately, you can't play it like a Leopard, really, because it just doesn't have the accuracy to do so, but it doesn't have any armor. It's a weird one. There's no, we talked about it on my gameplay stream about 3 or 4 days ago. It just doesn't have anything. There's no there with that tank, unfortunately. Type 5H model. Uh-oh, what's this? Is it a triple barrel Type 5 with rockets and hydraulics? You're gonna make me click that link, aren't you, pig? All right, I'll click it. What about it? It's just a Type 5, right? Type 5 heavy. Oh, responding to a question in chat. Gotcha. Need help penning a Type... Oh, okay, I missed that. Type 5 from the front. All right, well, let's take a look at it. Pig sent that thing in there. Yeah, you got to pick the right spot, which is copy. Everyone's like, sure, yeah, shoot it in the right spot, man. Where is it? There we go. All right. What the? There is the hatch, although it's pretty strong too, even at 240. So you're definitely gonna, depending on your tier, you're gonna be wanting to dab some too. But you can get to the hatch. I thought these things were fairly weak, but they're still pretty strong at 270. So what do you need, folks? You need about 300 pen. What are you trying to pen it with? Oh, man. Oh, is that not live view? Yeah, you're right. I don't have the live view. Never mind. Hold on. That's what we need. There we go. All right. So there's these two spots right here that are relatively weak. They're like a... Well, let's go to the other view here. There we go. It's these panels are weaker-ish than the stuff around it. And then if they side scraper, you get some angles. And I was thinking that was less, but not really. It's just super thick as well. It looks like these two spots right here is what you're looking for. These are the droids you're looking for right here. The hatch, although you want to hit it straight on, is also pretty large and relatively weak. This is all strong. Are there any silly places here that are like zero? Not really. And then of course this is pretty strong. This is flat, but it's also thick. So you're gonna need a dab of number 2, but I think really what you're looking for are those two spots there. Or you go whoop. There you go. Go over there. If you go over there, right around the old, you just go by them. You just go, you flank. You flank them. Flank them. And then, what about this? This is, yeah, there you go. Still 157 from behind. That's some thick bootay, my friends. Thick bootay, but pennable. Yeah, so you know how easy that is on a city map with when he's got a bunch of friends with him. You just zip by, you just zip, boop, just right over there, and you shoot him in the side. Yep, that's the droid you're looking for right there. Okie dokie. Yeah, VCS, Iraq done, KPZ done. Now I'm on to the Toro. The good news, I hope, is I'm playing some better tanks, or at least tanks I do better in. I'm doing okay with the Toro, currently sitting at 61% and 60-something battles. So this is not... I didn't like this tank very much initially, but it's really starting to grow on me. It's got nice mobility, and Zemke, thanks, man. Appreciate it, brother. It's got nice mobility for a heavy. The autoloader, loader is useful. The gun's pretty dang accurate, not bad at all. It doesn't have a lot of alpha, but it's got 4 shells. Pretty good pen with 315 with gold. So it now it doesn't armor very well. It's not your tanking tank. You're not going to press the subject with your armor. It will give you some bounces. I wonder what let's see, if I had to guess, what do I think my armor use is? I bet it's 40.4, 0.3. Let's find out. 0.3. I was pretty close. 0.4, 0.3. So there you go. That's not even really situationally good armor. It's approaching situational armor, but for a heavy, that's pretty bad. So it's more like a heavium, you know, not the good kind either. Not the E50 heavium kind, but the heavy that's more like a medium kind. that's the bad kind of heavium, because you're sitting in a heavy slot, right? That's not great, but played correctly, it's not a bad tank. Although my average DPG is atrocious at 1600. That's terrible. I don't know how I have a 61%, honestly. Probably just pure luck if I'm looking at those numbers. But we'll act like it's my genius gameplay that has brought me to 61%. And I don't even need to do damage in a game to win, because the Toro and me are good, or something. What I do if I can't pin something is fall back and hope they push out in the open. Not a bad idea. Can flank them, get a better angle. Yes. That is difficult to do in this game. And that is the old maneuver of, I am bashing my head into this wall, and if only I bash my head into this wall more or harder or faster, maybe I'll win. maybe you do what Grendel does and stop bashing your head against that particular wall and go find a softer wall somewhere else. Try that. The thing about that kind of maneuver in this game, and I talk about this a lot when I'm trying to teach people, and really anything, this applies to just about anything. If you are in a situation in your training or learning or whatever, where you're going to let's just use Watt as an example. You're going to a spot and you continually have a hard time at that spot. There comes a point where you have to step back a second and go, all right, is my problem that I'm not using this spot correctly? Or is the problem that I'm not in the right spot? Could be some of both, but if the results of going to the same spot and attempting to use it correctly continue to be poor, go somewhere else. The big thing that does for you is it now teaches you about somewhere else. You go somewhere else and now you start learning about that somewhere else. This is a big deal with World of Tanks, because I get players, they send me in replays and they go places and they do things, but they don't ever do anything else. So you're never going to learn. You know, you're the TD player or the cautious guy and you kind of hang out and you do support and you get a good result. But late game, when everybody needs you to move those hit points forward to do something, because you never do that, you don't know how. So you gotta get out of that comfort zone, and this game kind of teaches that really well. So go try something else. And so what if you blow up? Pixel tank, doesn't matter. Get another one. But maybe you've learned something about going somewhere else. Crab Eat Off used to lecture me on our Monday morning platoons that the hardest thing to do is be patient at times and commit to not forcing a play. That is 100%. And I struggle with that because I like to be active and try to force the game. It is also true that you can be inactive and miss opportunities, so that's the trick. But I think you're right and he's right that in general, video gamers tend towards the do too much and not be patient enough. So I would agree with that. And I've used that to great effect. I'm better at it now than I used to be. I mean, sometimes it's just such a shit show. You just got to hold on and go, all right, hold on. I need to wait for some things to happen. Sometimes what that actually gets you is you haven't done much damage and your team is just collapsing around you. So it is definitely a balance, but I would say most of us tend towards doing too much. Always go beach. Always stay on the red line. Always go alone. Always go valley on Lakeville. Good points. Yep, good points. Communication's key. Only communication you see. Fall back. I know. my favorite is the fall back when I'm trapped forward and any kind of movement back is going to immediately gank me. And they're like, fall back, fall back. I'm like, dude, that is not an option now. I've already porked it away. I'm stuck. You can click on me, fall back 8 million times. I can't fall back. It's not happening. So I wonder in those cases, do they really not know that? Do they really not understand the situation that I can't actually fall back? Or are they just being funny? I don't know. They're not teammates, they're just green dots. Oh, Wayne, come on, man. These are your fellow gamers. When I do it, it's an aggressive play. When you do it, you're a... That's right. And if you didn't support my aggressive play, then you're an idiot. Because I gave you an opportunity, you know? It's not me YOLOing. It's me leading. But you failed to accept my leadership, and therefore we have lost. So now I will type in chat about how bad you are. See you, Pig. Thanks for coming by, man. Have a good one, dude. Yeah, always go alone and then blame everyone else. Absolutely. I don't know, Cloud. Does anybody play World of Warplanes? I did a little bit. I kept getting pixel sniped. I couldn't do anything in that game. It was embarrassing. I'd get shot, be just flying around thinking I'm doing okay, and then I'm dead. And I'm like, I don't know how this happened. I have no idea who shot me or how. Fall back means hurry up and die. Yeah. Yeah, Grendel. Let me just trundle away. I'll be right there, fellas. Oh, that's the other good one, Gator. Yeah, yeah. You're in a spot and they tell you to fall back because they want to use that spot. Like, nah, yeah. That's where I get pithy. I get pithy. I just sit there. I don't care. Did it for a while, but got tired of fighting bots. Well, the bots are at the low levels in World of Warplanes, but you get to the mid to higher levels, there's players in there. And they're good. Yeah, it was very arcadey for sure. Yeah, keyboard control is not great. I might try War Thunder with because I guess it has VR support now, so I'm kind of curious how good or crappy the VR support in War Thunder is. I might try that a little bit. I like IL-2. IL-2 is pretty cool. It's it's kind of in between DCS and World of Warplanes. Or maybe War Thunder. So DCS, flying World War II airplanes in DCS is tricky because they got all the stuff is going on. You know, pitch, obviously throttle, pitch, mixture, everything. Kind of a pain in the rear. Yeah. Yeah, IL-2 is pretty cool. I have to get back in. I haven't played that one in a while. I'll have to jump back into it. All right. Yeah, so we streamed last week. I finished those 3 tanks. We're on to more other tanks, the Toro. Pretty good, as I said. This is an interesting TD, not really an assault TD. I don't know what it is listed as. What do they consider this? Versatile. Yeah, I would agree with that. So, nice mobility, okay accuracy, hits hard for 560. Not a very common tank, not a whole lot of those things out there, so I've sort of enjoyed it from a TD casemate standpoint. Doesn't bother me too much. WZ-111-5A, not very exciting or sexy, but pretty good heavy tank. Doesn't hit very hard for 400 something alpha, so that is a bit of a bummer. Well, it's almost 500, 490. What else have I been playing? A bit of the Type 57. I kind of enjoy this tank, actually. I would say this is a very competent heavy tank, hold down. It's got the super accurate gun with the water cooling if you wait long enough kind of thing. This is a stupid tank, but for some reason I enjoy it. The KV-4 KTTS. It has a bunch of DPM. So a 6.6 reload on a 360 average damage gun. So while the alpha's not amazing, every 6.5 seconds it's shooting. So if you can get in a position where you can start laying fire down range, very different from most of your Russian stuff because it is quite accurate at .32. At least with my setup right here, and you could make it more accurate if you put different equipment on. I've kind of got some hardening, a little bit of turbo because it is very slow, but very different kind of Russian TD. Armor is spotty, can be decent if people don't know what they're doing, especially against lower tier. If they know what they're doing, or it's a higher tier, you're going to get pretty well shredded. And this big tumor just sucks. Yeah, the -5 depression kind of sucks. So I wonder what I bet I'm about 0.5, 0.6 on my armor efficiency on this, maybe. 0.92, way better than I thought. Wow. That's actually pretty dang good armor. There you go. That surprises me because it feels like I get shredded, so don't know. What else am I running? Oh, the Raumpanzer. So I actually set the Raumpanzer up because it was recently buffed. You know, this is not terrible. I don't think it's amazing, but it's not terrible. I'm working on the field mods because I'll do a second setup with the vision setup for that, bottom tier medium thing when you got some 10s and 9s to deal with. You can kind of swing to a crappy scout roll if you need to. Yeah, Grendel, I agree with you. I mean, it's certainly not what it was, as bad as it was. But I sort of enjoy it, and it's a goofy tank, so that's been good. So that's what I'm running. I got these other guys set up. I occasionally play the other things. I want to like the can opener, but I don't know. I'm not playing it very well, so I got to figure that thing out. Not sure. All right. Random numbers. Thanks for the follow, man. Welcome. What's your bottom line on the VK7501 and the Type 63? You know what? I don't have a lot of experience in either one. Let's go take a look at them. They're both Tier 10 heavies. We got the German and the Japanese Type. Oh no, 7501K. Is that the Tier 8 you're talking about? Those are Tier 8s. Never mind. I'm on drugs. You're talking about the Tier 8 stuff. 7501K. Actually, I kind of like this tank. I do. I did a 100 battle challenge on it. I did a review on it when it first came out. So there's some stuff. It's older, but there's some stuff in the catalog there that you can go find this tank in my stuff. But it's rear turreted, so that's always a pain in the arse in this game. The game's not really designed. The maps aren't very useful for this kind of tank. It's ungainly. It's difficult. It's hard to go around corners on it. When you get into hold down positions, it doesn't have a lot of gun depression, so that's difficult. It always feels like your front end is stuck out somewhere. For side scraping, it's okay because that rear turreted thing comes out from behind the cover first, which is nice, but the side of it isn't particularly strong. But it does hit hard. I remember 4 or something. Yeah, 490 at Tier 8, which is pretty good. And the armor can be very useful at times. I ended with a 60% win rate. Yeah, so 100 battles exactly. Almost 1,000 experience a game, which is pretty good. 1,600 DPG. My armor was 0.66. So that's situational armor. As opposed to once you get close to 1.0, somewhere around 0.9, 1.0, that's strong armor, and you can rely on that depending on your tiering and the situation. More. This thing isn't quite as armored as you might think, but it's not bad. So I liked it. Type 63, I ended up with a 57% on that one. And I really liked that. Almost 1,000 experience a game with 1,600 also DPG. 0.36 armor, so definitely, really all it's got is kind of a turret-ish thing going on. The accuracy thing is nice. It's got good gun depression. It has good mobility. It's kind of a compact tank, so it's easy to maneuver around in positions. I actually quite liked the Type 63. That did not bother me at all. And I'm enjoying the Type 57, which is similar, not exact, but similar gameplay style to the Type 63. So I actually like both of those, man. If I was going to spend money, I don't think I would necessarily buy a 7501 unless I'm just really a fan of the German tanks. And for some reason I like rear turreted. I don't know if I'd spend money on it. The Type 63 might be worth some money. I know a lot of people really like it. I thought it was good. Very welcome, man. Very welcome. Tech tree type is better in 63 due to not having a tumor to be pinned. Good point. Wait, what? Tech tree type is better than 63? What tumor? This one? Well, the tech tree has a tumor. Or am I missing something? Oh, okay. It has a small hatch right there. I do remember something weird about this tank because it's got that this center thing. When you go hold down, if you're not careful, you can, as I recall, if you're not careful, say you're level ground and you put the gun down, the back of the turret comes up and becomes pinnable. So it's kind of weird, actually. I collected a lot of shots, as I recall, right along here. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if I can show that in... We'll do this and then we'll take a quick break because I got to make another coffee. But I want to see if it's true. Full tank list. As I recall, there was something weird about that thing. Yes. See that? Trying to stop. See how the whole turret sort of lifts up? Because that's how the gun depression on that tank works. And then all this, I just collect shots. Oh, see, you would see it if I was actually showing it to you. All right, there we go. Man, I'm good at this. I'm so good at this. All right, shut up, Clippy. Son of a gun. Anyway, this is my, my very clever situation going on here. Yeah, so I'd get to places, maybe trying to go hold down or not paying attention where the turret is, but for some reason that top bit got... Can I? Oh, there we go. So it's pretty weak, actually. 40 millimeters. Oh, that's the other thing, right? So 40 millimeters is overmatched by a 122. Right? Auto pen situation. Yay. Triple overmatch. Yep. So I collected shots up here a lot on this tank. All right, cool. 5 minutes, guys. Refresh your coffee. We'll troll through some of the situations in World of Tanks and see what's going on, but I will be right back. Maybe.
Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Now in the shadows came a mysterious chap who spoke in a tongue with strange dialect. He offered his help to the mighty Guido, to bring some laughter to his love of speedos. To the coffee talk they both came, to bring the message of winning ways to all and sundry and the masses. Yes, that's right, lads and lasses. The damage counts and flexing back will keep you on the right track. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. So in what if to progress, then seek out Guido nonetheless. With his sidekick Pilgrim, he has a message that to win you must be aggressive. The position and place that you must seek, for the winners only, not the weak. The guru speaks, so listen well. His voice rings out like the Liberty Bell, to bring you all to Unicom land, or to die hard trying in the sand. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido. To the swamplands came the mountain man to teach his wisdom and pay his due. A man with a name only known to a few. To his followers his words are true. Guido is the man, big and gruff. He used to fly jet, but now he does the tanking stuff. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido is his name, tanking is his game. Guido.
Alrighty, we are back, my friends. We are back. '63 upper plate is butter, 57's layout is better. Alright, cool. Is the gun accuracy gimmick really helpful? That one's hard to say. That, you know, objectively, if you have a more accurate gun, then yes. Can you play to that strength in the game? That's trickier to do because you have to wait, and you don't. Based on the way the game flows, you don't always want to wait that long or need to necessarily close in. I suppose if you could keep track of it well, you could probably leverage it decently. But I find the engagement times to be inside of what it requires for the cooling most of the time. But if you're not doing anything, then you've got a really accurate gun once it cools off. You know? There's that. RNG always has a vote. You know, accuracy is relative to your RNG that day. Absolutely. Or that shot, I guess, really. At bottom line, it's per shot. So it's all relative to the accuracy of that shot. Okay, let's see. Let's go to... see what's going on with the store and whatnot. Did you notice that that they didn't do Watt Monthly? And they put out some blurb about, what did they say? Where is it? I saw it on Reddit, so I don't know if maybe they put the blurb out on their Discord, but something to the effect of, we're not doing it this month, but never fear, we're doing lots of stuff in September and we'll be back later, or some crap like that. I don't know. What do you make of that, guys? Are we in between Watt Monthly hosts? Did we... I don't even know what his name is. Did we lose him? Is he... is he done? Oh, man. Hold on, I'm moving some windows around. Give me a second while I un-F my situation here. There we go. Yep. Gunners, 100%, dude. We're getting to that one. We're getting to that one. Smells like, looks like, tastes like, must be it, right, Cloud? Exactly. Commander AF? No. No, I think she moved on. I don't think she's still with Wargaming. That's my understanding. Well, we still have time for another 4 or 5 assembly shops before Christmas, Gunners Human, so we'll be all right. Just like they temporarily removed the monthly yeah. Yeah, I don't think there are any NA guys left. All right, let's go back here. And that's been a long time coming, though. You know, slowly we've been losing people. What do we got? We have a store. We got, oh, this is interesting, I guess, kind of. But your daily collectible, the problem is 31 tanks. They're doing a small tank every day. Well, you need 15 wins, fellas. And that ain't easy. That's 50% win rate. That's 30 games, but you have to be top 10, so you got to figure a couple of those wins you won't be top 10. So what are we looking at? 35 games with a 50% win rate? 2 games a day. 2 games a day is not going to cut it, Wayne. That is not going to get you the free tank. And so far they've been like tier 2 things. Like right now today's is a T1 E6, I think. Enhance your collection. Yes, T1 E6. But, you know, that being said, if you're playing the game a lot and grinding, sure. Hey, that's actually okay by me. You know? If they want to do that kind of thing, that's kind of a cool mission. I don't think any of the tanks that are going to be offered are like these things must-have tanks, but if you want to sit down and play all day and shoot for getting a free tier 2 tank, great. Works for me. So there's that going on. I didn't realize it was all month. That's wild. I thought it was like a week. So we'll have to look at that and see. Keep an eye on it. Maybe a cool tank will show up. I don't think it's going to be much more than tier 5. I don't even know if they'll do a tier 5. Do they have 31 tier 2s? I guess. Tier 2 and 3 premiums. How cool would it be if they chucked an 8 in there somewhere? Everyone needs an LTP that's been given out. That's right. Hey, what if you're a new player, though, and you haven't been given that stuff? You know? Alright, so there's that boosteroid crap. We got Peaky Blinders Charmerat thing out again. Here's the assembly shop, guys. So I don't know, what do you think of this? This doesn't bother me that much, to be honest with you. It's 2 tanks that have already been released, so, and neither one of them is particularly super overpowered, I would say. They're both pretty decent. Gives people an opportunity to use a bunch of their resources that they've built up over time, and I'm not bothered. It doesn't bother me. At least it's not some super overpowered tank. You selling a slightly used or never used 4.52, Wayne? They could assembly shop tier 8s, and I think people would love it. Gold Type 58 seems like the perfect assembly shop kind of tank, honestly. 1,911. Yeah, they didn't really sell, did they? Can you tell how many of the Kampfpanzer 07 PEs there are? Or do you have one? I can't see that because it says, you already have these tanks. Already in the garage, and I don't get any data on how many are left. Yeah, so it won't show you that, Cliffy. Yeah, same. Well, wait a minute. You got to get your 4.52 then, Cliffy. Come on now. Open market tank swaps. but you need to. You know, a lot of games have player markets. It's kind of interesting. This one doesn't. You don't like the number of resources? It is expensive. That's true. Very expensive. I still haven't rebuilt all of my blueprints yet, so. Yeah, you hoard you're sitting on a hoard like Smog the Dragon. You don't want to give it up. Not one silver for your assembly shop wargaming. 1076 KPZ. Thank you. So the KPZ was slightly more popular, provided they both had the same amount to start with. Was it 3,000 or 3,500? 2,500. Whoa. So they only sold 600 or so of the object. They sold many more of the KPZ. Oh, Brute, see you, man. Fly safe, brother. Nice. All right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow night then. Cool, cool. Assembly shop. Yes, it is there. Premium shop, what do we got going on while we shill? Hey, you can buy the T1E6. K-Schmidt, that's $1. Okay. $1. That is hilarious. $1 for a T1E6. Okay. Nemesis. I don't know if I have that. Do I not have that? I might not have that tank. Is it a medium or heavy? I do have the Nemesis. Never mind. I have it. I don't think I've played it yet. Nope, I haven't played that yet. 420 average damage. See, this is what I'm talking about with the KPZ 168. It has a 400 alpha, no armor. The Nemesis has 420. I bet it reloads faster. Yeah, about the same amount of time. Terrible DPM though at 1500. That's awful. Type 63, the tank we were just talking about, so it's 44 bucks. The M46 KR, $30. Now this tank is not as bad as people think it is, but it's still bad. I would not buy that tank. You got to be, you have to be a real Pershing or whatever it is fan. Patton, Pershing, whichever version that is. 432, that's a good light tank for sure. The Super Mutant, the tank they said they'd never sell, but have now, constantly. Peaky Blinders thing. Crew, $39 for Crew. Oh my goodness. $94 get you a Char Murat, bunch of crew members. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody use that 3D model on that thing. You guys ever seen that in game? I don't think I have. That's a tier 9 French. I don't know if I have the Char Murat. That may be one of the ones I missed. I do not. I do have it. How did I get that? No idea. I must have slid the slider. I slid the slider. Haven't played it though. Another tank I have to add to my Hunter Battle Challenge. Right, Wayne? And that's the same thing with the KPC 168. It has a 13-second reload for a 400 alpha. Terrible. Terrible F. So that's what's going on there. Alright, let's go troll this stuff. Go World of Tanks here. Yep, T1E6 we talked about. Mines, super test. We've been threatened with a good time on mines multiple times. And they're supposed to make it bigger. So it looks like the way they're doing that is adding a bunch to the south of the map. So that island is more playable over there. More playable space and some Camp Alama Ding Dang stuff back here. What's going on at 0.5? The mountain slope has been removed and the zone extended for the gameplay area. Okay. So that must be current. And this is what it's going to... Whoa, whoa. All right, there's not a very good pick at this resolution, but there's the middle bit. See, the north side's been increased quite a bit. There's the place the already hides, but now we got much more space back here. Oh wow, look at this. So this is currently, I think, now I guess they've just made more cover, more terrain. They've made more terrain that goes way the heck down here now. And a great big open spot that you can do nothing with. Great. That's useful. Some buildings on the other side. What on earth? This is... Okay. Alright, sure. Why not? Look at that open space there. I guess there's more cover there than I thought. There's actually some buildings and things you might be able to get up to, I guess. These are all early pictures because they haven't really done all the fancification of it. Sniper TDE last ditch spot. Yeah, it looks very different. It's going to play different, I think. The mines right now is all about the hill, more or less, either early or late. And then Pearl River is going to be changed again. Because the last time they did it, it didn't do anything. Wow, they've really flattened that out. That's... Huh. That's very different. Flat, much flatter. Like that center city doesn't even look the same at all. Unless that's the... Huh. Can you even get into it? Or did they close it off? It sort of looks like it's closed off. Get rid of the bushes, for sure. Continue reading. Let's see. It's hard to tell what's what with the way... Oh, they've got these all mixed up. I guess these are not before and after. These must all be after, I guess. They've really opened up that center village. It's not nearly as enclosed, it looks like to me. No, okay, I'm looking at the wrong place. That's not the center village. This is one of the back villages, actually. That's what this is. I don't think this is the center village. It's the back village. Here's the center village. So it looks kind of the same over here. Oh no, oh, so this must be a before and after here. Oh, it's hard to tell, isn't it? No, it is before, because here's the background. It's the same exact, so that's completely different. That village is just gone. It's over here, whatever's left of it. And we've just made a big, flat, open killing ground. Good. That's good. That's great. I don't know. They actually mentioned, Cloud, that they were working on Swamp. I think they said that. I read that somewhere. They were working on bringing Swamp back in some version. Yeah, look at this. This is wild. This village thing is just not. It's gone. It's over here, but I don't think you can get into it. It looks like that's just background stuff. What is the purpose of that? Look at this. Just nobody's gonna go in the middle here. This is crazy. So this is the top one, what it's like right now. So you go over the bridge, and then that's the brawl area, and then you come along the side, and then this is the middle brawl, and then the village is off to the left of here. But now, again, it looks cut off. Like you can't go through there now. Maybe you can sneak through right there. I don't know. But they have maintained their little cave bridge, by golly. They've maintained the cave bridge. So this one gives a good picture. Here's the village in the middle. It's hard to get an idea of the elevation because there's a lot of elevation on the south part of this map. It's hard to tell from this. It looks like they flattened it out a bit, but look at that. So that center village bit, it's just gone. There's no that whole middle gameplay control spot is just not a thing on this map anymore. Gone. And now it's just tucked up against the mountain there. And so you got the heavy brawl still on the back corner here, and then all this just open stuff. Huh. That's wild. All right. Super test, so who knows? Yeah, they changed it once recently already. It's never been a great map. Their track record on balancing maps lately has been atrocious. They made what's the one that still has the massive mismatch? All right, where's the maps thing? Maps. Studzianski, oh my gosh, freaking terrible. 41%. What I hate about what they've done with this map thing is it says spawn 1 and spawn 2, and I don't know which is which, and there's no way to find out. There's the map, they don't show it. Am I missing something? How do I figure that out? It used to show the map and kind of give you north spawn, south spawn. You knew which spawn, but anyway, one of the spawns on Studzianski is atrocious. I'm trying to find the one I'm thinking of, though. So Safe Haven has an atrocious win rate differential. Proc, atrocious win rate differential. Mountain Pass, I think, is the one. They made it much worse. It's worse than it was. I mean, Mines, that's terrible. Is this last 30 days, though? 3 days. All right, we need something better than 3 days. Is there any way to get other than the last 3 days? Guess not. Huh. So that's 3 days is not a great. I mean, it's a lot of battles, but not tons. I thought there used to be a way to get more than just 3 days. Is that all premium? You got to pay them to get all that possibility? Maybe. Look how many have red differentials, though. This is just insane. Airfield, 41%. That's someone just mentioned that. Airfield, it's a complete joke. 57 to 41. Even considering a relatively low sample size of 3 days, this is significant data. Oh man, yeah. The differences in battle counts is also interesting, isn't it? So Ruinberg, Mines, Proc, which is okay. I like Proc. So in the last 3 days, Ruinberg's been in almost 60,000 battles, and Wide Park. All right, that's not a surprise because Wide Park's a low tier, but Province is low tier. Berlin. Why is Berlin only 5,000? Paris 5,000. Look at all these. That might not be that surprising based on their rotations. In a 3-day period, you could probably catch a rotation that had those top. Now, you'd have to watch this over time to see if it's true over time. That's why I wanted something more than 3 days. But am I missing something? Is there a way to change it to more than 3 days? Not that I can see. I don't see any way to do. What's EU say? EU's got more. What? Oh, how did I back the maps? Okay, there we go. All right, here's the EU numbers. There'll be more numbers, so maybe slightly better data, possibly. Still, lots of red. Look at this. Crazy. Airfield's a joke. Same joke. Bunch more games. Same joke. Same bad joke. Empire's Border. Come on. I mean, you got a 10% difference. You just get foot getting put on this on spawn 1. Absolutely screwed. Immediately in the game. A 10% difference on a map. That map should be removed. If you were running this game and you had a 10% difference on a map, you should remove the map today. Honestly. You don't see it and you pay for it. That didn't it used to have more day, like you could do 30 days or something? I don't know. Anything with red and blue in terms of that much difference, Ensk. This is a new map, right? They made it better. No, they made it worse. It's worse. Erlenberg. What else? Himmelsdorf sucks. That's 5%. Even that's annoying. Malinovka is not as bad as you would think. There's a lot of draws on Malinovka, which makes sense. Mines, joke. Overlord, bad. Oyster Bay, bad. 11% draw on Proc. That's hilarious. 51 to 47, you know, we're getting into acceptable range, I'd say. Redshire, kind of bad. Steps, terrible. Like, what's a good map? Wide Park, but that's for low tier. Westfield's close. It's all right. Tundra, 5%. That's bad. Studzianski, 5% bad. Steps, bad, 7%. Siegfried, close, not bad. Decently balanced. Serene Coast, not great. Sand River, 3%. That's getting reasonable. Safe Haven looks reasonable. Ruinberg, reasonable. That's actually one they changed a little bit with their dynamic stuff, so it looks like that was okay. Yeah, they break them out. You can actually go up here and you can do encounter and assault. Some of these get worse, I think. Let's look at assault on EU. Steps, terrible. These are all, well, they're not great. None of them are great. I don't like assault. I don't generally do it anymore. I used to preach turn them all on. I can't stand assault. I just turn it off. What about encounter? Oof. More battle mic. What? Proc encounter 55 to 39. That mode should be deleted from Proc now, today. Should have been yesterday. Redshire, 43 to 55 encounter. Good gosh. It's inconceivable. Mines 54 to 44. There's a 10%er. Oh. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Hustlers. Yeah, you can go to another website to, yep, absolutely. Again, these are only 3-day averages, but the fact that both EU and NA are similar with, oh, good Lord. Gets even worse with a lower game count. Oh, my goodness. Malinovka encounter is an 80-20 proposition, but on only on 225. But still, you see it exaggerates it the other way, or worse, with less games. It just means that it's super bad. That's insane. Is there even one that's worth a shit? Maybe Sand River, but of course you can see Sand River is normalizing a bit because it's got more games. But those are these are crazy numbers. Again, driven by the low sample size, but still crazy. Some crazy freaking numbers. Ghost Town 68 to 30. What? Oh, that is, yeah, 50-50. Look at that. It's the perfect balance. Lakeville, perfectly balanced as an encounter battle. All right, that's making my head spin right there. Invite codes if you want them for Watt EU. I guess that's not useful to us since we're NA. Here's a Polish heavy that has the thing where you do a lot of damage close and less damage far away. Great. Double barrel Italian tanks. How long before we get the double barrel auto reloader? Why did we need a double barrel Italian tank? He asked. Nobody asked. Double barrel. The Collector. Boosteroid, yeah. Here it is. No Watt Monthly this time around. We're taking a short break from the format this August, but there's still loads happening throughout the month. While today is quiet, new activities and updates will be rolling out, so keep an eye on our channels in-game and the potential and the portal worldoftanks.eu. Which brings us now to the last subject. What is going to happen in September? Give me your guesses. What is this big September thing? He didn't last long at all, Jimmy. What, 3 months? Was it 4? 3, 4, 5 months? Something like that. It's going to begin to cool down. Good call. That is one thing that happens in September. Not for me, but for the rest of you guys probably. One new map. He says one new map. Yes. A new battle mode. Yeah. It'll be called Steel Hunting Frontline Mirny. Steel Hunting Frontline Mirny. Day of the Phoenix challenge. Another assembly shop. Beautiful. Well, Carl, what I'm referencing is they've been talking about something big happening in September in terms of I think it seemed like, anyway, we don't have any good data, but it was something like the game, right? That it's going to be a change or an update or a big announcement or a new version or I don't know. Something big was supposed to happen in September. I'm hoping it has to do with the 5 keys that I collected. Pay them money. Boxes. Oh, Bandu. Boxes. Hopefully triple, quad, quintuple nesting Russian boxes, eggs, things. Christmas in September. Auto-loading double-barreled boxes with siege mode. That hold their camo when you fire. Actually, when you fire, you get more camo. Water physics 2.0. Free. Get wetter for free. I have no guess. Now, I'm not in the CC program, so I don't know if they're getting any kind of essay. Not any kind that they've been able to talk about because we don't have any videos on anything like that. There seems to be plenty of tanks and super tests and whatnot. There's no indication what this September thing is. And they've kind of... they haven't hyped it necessarily because they don't mention it a lot. They've mentioned it enough that people know it's a thing. There's zero data for it. So I don't know, man. Flying tanks. Okay. So tanks with a snorkel that can go underwater and don't drown. That'll be good for Artie. Tier 11 and 12. That's been one of the guesses, Jimmy, for sure. That is one of the main guesses. Releasing tier 11 tanks, because I think what the Russian Lesta did that already. Could be. Super tanks. They're dog tags. I have forgotten all about dog tags. Another abandoned function in the game, essentially. They haven't done anything with that since they put it out there. Mostly because nobody asked for it. Oh, new crew skins. Decals. More decals. All good guesses, fellas. I think the closest to what is possible is the tier 11 thing, maybe. Which I don't know why they wouldn't advertise that. Hall of Fame will come out of beta in September. Well, you're asking a lot, Gator. That seems like a stretch. 10, 14 years of beta. Is that enough? I don't think that's enough. That is so funny, man. It does still say that, doesn't it? This is the poster child for wargaming development right here. This has to be the poster child for all of the just situations with development in this game. The shit they've put out and abandoned, the stuff they've half started, the stuff they lackadaisically support. This was an actual great idea that just died. It just died. Now, you can see most of the tanks now. They have been, it appears, adding some of the tanks in here. Like, these are fairly new tanks. Oh, look, I'm number 11 in the KPZ with a miserable 3,424. Does that mean there was only 12 of us that played it? Yeah, not many people played it. Iraq at 4-7. Yeah, I would have been in the top 20. But I had to play another 7 games. It really is, though, the poster child for their development and the just sort of just how all over the place it is. There doesn't seem to really be a plan. Cliffy and Grendel coming in with the hard truth. The hard truths can't be monetized. I know. I've said this a million times. I've actually suggested it to them, and I'm sure other people have. But there's such an opportunity with the Hall of Fame and making mini contests on tiers and tanks, and giving awards out for being top 10 in a tank. They've done those one-off here and there, these contests with tanks or tiers or things like that, experience contests, etc. But they could tie it into the Hall of Fame and make it a monthly thing. And it doesn't have to be that much. You win a couple kits. You win a one of those coupons that lets you move equipment around. You win nearly anything. It's just something. Like there's something there if I am in the top 3 or top 5 or top 10 or something like that. Even a Decal Chronopotter. Make sure it's the one we can sell though. The intern walked with all the information. Could have been, and I think that's about it, fellas. Other than all the rest of the double barrels that I'm not going to go through. The Serpent. Crazy. This cracked me up, actually. Check this out. This is for the 225 collector with the double barrel we were kind of just talking about. This write-up. This tank first appeared in Watt Console earlier this summer and is a Wargaming original design. Does that mean when you go in the game on this tank when it's released and you go, right click vehicle details and you get up to the little blurb, they just won't even have anything? It'll just be Wargaming made up tank or Wargaming original design. A lot of times these things say, oh, this was a drawing found on a napkin behind a file cabinet in the French Design Bureau in 1965 or something like that. They're usually tied somehow to some kind of project or some kind of prototype or planned project or an offshoot of another tank or whatever. Is this because it's a Wargaming original design? It's just going to say, we made this up? I don't know. I don't know, fellas. They didn't plan this, but my goodness, I bet if they would have done it this way, that would have been something else. Well, fellas, that's about it. I'm going to go relax a little bit. Then I have to do a little yard work. Although it's raining like crazy today, so I might be off the hook. I do have to get out to Sam's and buy the bi-weekly or the 2-weekly, bi-monthly supply run. Thanks, Cloud. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for coming by, dude. Enjoyed it. I am planning on trying to do some more streaming, guys, with gameplay, so I know I've said that a million times, but I did accomplish it last week, so that's good. Steaks and beer. Yeah, we're gonna have a little get together tonight. So we got some friends coming over. We got to figure that one out. I'm gonna be cooking something, although it is storming, so I'm not really sure how that's gonna go down. We will go find somebody to raid though, who is streaming. Let's see.
Fucking punch yourself in the head for me right now. Thank you. I think I need a coffee.
That is, that's Walst. 06 Walst going crazy. All right. You're welcome, Special. Thanks for coming by, man. Yeah, I'm working on a miserable Monday. It's going to take me a while to get some content on that. Although, honestly, the last couple days, if I'd have saved all of it, I ended up deleting a bunch of stuff, but I did get lit on fire, so I had some fun fires. But we'll do another one of those. Trying to find somebody. I mean, Milepost is going. official stream will have Onslaught with kit drops starting. Oh, thanks, Cliffy. Oh, you know, I was just about to mention that. It doesn't seem like there's been a lot of drops lately, but that's good to know, guys. So that is good to know. We'll just raid Milepost. Good guy. Thanks for coming by, guys. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for the subs. You guys have a great one. I will look for an opportunity to do some gameplay streaming this week. We'll try to get a couple hours in. We'll see you next Sunday. Hopefully Pilgrim can come back. He must have got lost in the lavender farm. Have a good one, dudes.